Tonight, you might pour a glass of milk without giving it a second thought. It came from a cow. That feels normal. But somewhere in the wild, a lioness may be nursing her cubs with milk that is far richer, fattier, and biologically different from anything in your refrigerator. You have probably never wondered what lion milk tastes like, and realistically, you never will. Not simply because collecting it would be dangerous and impractical, but because milk is not a universal food. It is a biological formula shaped by evolution for one specific species. Cow milk was made for calves. Human milk was made for human babies. Lion milk was made for lion cubs. And those differences go far beyond taste. Scientists who compare milk across animal species have found something fascinating. Every kind of milk carries a different survival strategy. Its fat, protein, sugar, minerals, and immune compounds are adjusted to help a particular baby grow in a particular environment. So what makes predator milk so different? And why has humanity built dairy systems around cows, goats, sheep, and camels, but never lions, wolves, or seals? Let's start with fat. Cow milk contains roughly 3 to 4% fat. It is relatively light and familiar. But lion milk can contain much more fat, and some marine mammals produce milk that is incredibly dense. Seal milk, for example, can reach fat levels close to 50%. That is not the kind of milk most people imagine. It is closer to a high-energy survival fuel. A seal pup is born into one of the harshest environments on Earth. Freezing water, icy winds, and very little time to grow. It needs to build a thick layer of blubber quickly. So its mother produces an extremely rich milk that helps the pup gain weight at an astonishing speed. For a seal pup, this is perfect. For a human, it would be an unusually heavy and difficult food to process in large amounts. But fat is only one part of the story. Predator milk is also built around the needs of carnivorous young. Wolf pups, lion cubs, and other predators are born dependent on their mothers. Their milk provides calories, proteins, fats, and immune-supporting components during the earliest stage of life. Milk is not just food, it is protection, it is growth. It is a temporary survival system delivered from mother to baby. And then there is sugar. Human milk contains a large amount of lactose compared with the milk of many other mammals. That makes sense because human babies are developing large, energy-hungry brains. Lactose provides a reliable source of energy during that rapid period of growth. Many carnivores, however, produce milk that tends to be lower in lactose and higher in fat and protein. Their young are developing bodies designed for a different kind of diet and metabolism. That means a lion cub's milk is not simply stronger cow milk. It is a completely different biological recipe. So why did humans choose cows, goats, sheep, buffalo, camels, and yaks for dairy, but never predators? The obvious reason is practicality. Herbivores can live in herds, eat plants, produce useful quantities of milk, and can be managed around humans. Predators are territorial, dangerous, require meat, and generally produce milk only for a small number of offspring. There has never been a lion dairy farm. There has never been a wolf milking industry. And there is a reason for that. But the deeper story is about human evolution. For most of human history, adults could not digest milk well. Babies could digest breast milk because they produced an enzyme called lactase. But after childhood, lactase production usually decreased. That is still the case for much of the world today. A large percentage of adults have some level of lactose intolerance, meaning they struggle to digest the lactose found in cow milk. But thousands of years ago, certain populations that raised cattle, goats, and other dairy animals developed genetic changes that allowed many adults to keep producing lactase. This trait is called lactase persistence. In other words, the ability to comfortably drink milk as an adult is not universal. It is an evolutionary adaptation that became common in some populations because dairy provided a useful source of calories, protein, fat, and hydration. So when you drink cow milk, you are not just drinking a modern grocery product. You are taking part in a very old relationship between humans, animals, agriculture, and genetics. Now imagine bringing predator milk back into the picture. Even people who can comfortably drink cow milk are adapted, at most, to the dairy animals humans have lived alongside for thousands of years. Predator milk would be far more unusual in composition, often richer in fat and protein, and not produced at a scale that could ever support human consumption. There is also another factor. Predators sit high on the food chain. Animals higher in the food chain can accumulate certain environmental pollutants, heavy metals, and other compounds through a process called biomagnification. Because milk contains fat, fat-soluble substances may also be present in it. So predator milk is not just difficult to obtain. It is biologically unfamiliar, environmentally complicated, and completely unnecessary for human nutrition. And that leads to the most interesting idea of all. Milk is not one thing. It is thousands of different biological messages. Seal milk says, gain insulation fast. Human milk says, build a big brain. Wolf milk says, grow strong enough to survive in a pack. Cow milk says, become a calf. Every species produces milk for its own young, its own environment, and its own survival challenge. The milk in your fridge is not neutral. It is not a universal substance meant for every living creature. It is a biological code written for another animal. Humans simply learned how to use that code, and for some of us, evolved the ability to tolerate it into adulthood. So next time you pour a glass of milk, look at it differently. You are not just drinking milk. You are drinking a product of evolution, domestication, and a genetic adaptation that began thousands of years ago. And somewhere in the wild, a lion cub is drinking a completely different message, one written only for it.